I think naturally there's a decline of all the heavyweights at the top at the minute because they're all mid-30s, aren't they? I don't know the exact age of all of them, but they're in and around that bracket. So they've all had long careers, they've all had hard careers, they've all made loads of money.
Boxing fans, we're here in Bournemouth on Friday for the press conference. Matt Macklin, how are you, sir? How's things?
Not too bad. Yourself?
All good. Do you want to talk about that main event? You got Chris Billam Smith, the world champion, against the experienced Mateusz Masternak. First time I encountered him was in 2015 when he fought Tony Bellew all them years ago. So we know he's got the experience, and you can tell that he's someone that's hungry to win it. He's not going to have another baby if he doesn't win it, as he said in that press conference. But do you feel that this could be a potential banana skin for Chris Billam Smith?
Definitely. I think if this fight, this would have been a sort of fight that you would have expected Billam Smith to have maybe. If he didn't get the shot at Lawrence Okolie, this would almost be that fight that you have, which kind of gauges the gap between the level you're at, European level, and fighting for the world, becoming world champion, fighting for a world title. You know, Masternak had fought for the world title, been beaten by a couple of guys who've gone on to become champion, given them tough, hard fights, and it'd be the fight that, well, if you win that one, then you're ready for a world title fight. And I don't know if it had happened then, would he have won it? I think the fact that he's had that fight with Okolie, albeit it was messy, scrappy, you know, he still found a way to win under those circumstances against a very tricky, awkward opponent who he knew as well, which makes it more awkward when you've sparred loads of rounds with someone. And whatever you want to say about Okolie, he got the win, you know, so that makes him... The Billam Smith today is a better Billam Smith than the one that went into that fight. Experience, confidence, etc. So I think bearing that in mind and given the fact that it's in Bournemouth, particularly that actually it's in here as opposed to outdoors where he holds that atmosphere, I think he's a slight favourite.
Do you want to talk about that division? I spoke to Richard Riakpo, Jai Pattaya in the last couple of weeks. First of all, Jai Pattaya, what do you make of him? A lot of people right now are sort of he's the fighter that everyone's looking forward to, the exciting fighter. I just spoke to Shane McGuigan and he said, listen, the last couple of fights, fair enough, he's fought Brady's to win it, but he hasn't fought anyone since. Jordan Thompson's was the last fight, and he's going to fight Alex Zorro, so he's not really fighting the people. But what do you make of Jai Pattaya as a fighter?
Good fighter, solid fighter. Obviously, he looked really good against Jordan Thompson. But Jordan Thompson going into the fight very inexperienced, unproven. Yeah, can punch, has ability, but he hadn't proven himself at anywhere near that level. So. Pattaya jumped on him. He looked really good, but people could easily say, "Well, what had Jordan Thompson proven?" So, Pattaya's world champion. He looks good. It's a tough fight. Any of those guys, once you're world champion, going into unifications, etc. You don't know until especially Billam Smith. He's only just become world champion. You know, if he comes through Sunday night, you know, then all of a sudden. He's really sort of give legitimacy to that, to being a world. Not that he's a legitimate world champion, but you know what I mean. Like some people could say. I'm not saying it, but I think some people could say, well, look, he beat Okolie, but it was at Bournemouth. The stars aligned for him. Let's see him go and do it again, consistently solidify his status as world champion.
Let me ask you, just to top off this section in regards to these fighters, what is the one fight that you want to see? I picked up all them names. What's the two fighters you want to see in the ring together out of all them names?
Look, personally, I'd like to see him fight Riakpo because the first fight was a good fight. Several years ago, before either of them were at the level they're at now. They've both improved massively. They're both profiles have grown hugely as well. I think it's a natural rematch that needs to happen. And because we know both characters as well, and the teams and everything, it gives it more, for me anyway. It's more intrigue.
Lawrence Okolie's obviously done interviews, and I think he was asked whether sort of situation with him right now, and he said 50-50. It could be a chance that maybe moves up. Obviously, he's out of camp right now, so he's not actually seems to be training. What do you think could be next for him? Obviously, there's a lot of talk about him coming back and fighting Chris Billam Smith in 2024. We haven't heard nothing in regards to that. But what do you reckon should be the right step for Lawrence Okolie?
I don't know really. I don't know. Does he go in and do? I don't know. It depends if he stays at cruiserweight. Or does he step up to heavyweight? He's already been world champion at cruiserweight. There are some there's some big fights at cruiserweight. Obviously, the rematch with Billam Smith. If he was to win that, if Billam Smith is still champion by then a fight with Riakporhe, bit of needle. They had that bit of a scuffle. So there's the cruiserweight division in the UK right now is red hot. Not just on the world scene, but even if you come down a couple of levels to the domestic scene, and you got Vidal and there's Chamberlain and there's Jack Massey and there's others as well. So it's a good division.
Do you want to quickly move on and talk about other things? I listened to John Fury about 2 weeks ago, and he talks about, and he said, Tyson Fury is possibly declining, and he said not in regards to his ability, because we know fantastic boxer, but he goes in regards to power, his conditioning. There seems to be a decline. Or it wasn't visible for the last fight. Do you feel like we could possibly be seeing the decline? He's 35 years old. That physically and naturally, as any sort of athlete, you do start declining. Do you think you're going to start seeing the decline of Tyson Fury?
I think naturally there's a decline of all the heavyweights at the top at the minute, because they're all mid-30s, aren't they? I don't know the exact age of all of them, but they're in and around that bracket. So they've all had long careers, they've all had hard careers, they've all made loads of money. So that they're naturally going to lose that hunger. And that's not just Tyson Fury, and AJ, Deontay Wilder, all of the top heavyweights. I think probably have seen better days.
In regards to Deontay Wilder, and you mentioned his name there, he did an interview with Brian Custer in America, where he has a podcast, and in there he spoke about Anthony Joshua, and something he said that I wanted to pick your brain with was he said that there's born champions and there's manufactured champion. He goes that age is a manufactured champion, that they've had to sort of prep him up, comp tickets out, show that he's sold out arenas, which he's saying, this is all from what Wilder saying, that he hasn't, and people like Wilder who are born champions, who have made fighters. Do you believe that's the case with Anthony Joshua, that he is born a born fighter, or someone who's been in boxing as long as you have, that he has maybe from what Wilder say, maybe there's some truth in that?
Well, no, I don't know. Look, he'd only had something like 30 amateur fights or whatever it was when he won a silver medal in the World Championships. So there's a bit of born natural ability there, isn't there? A born natural tenacity to go in, when he would have been boxing all those East Europeans in those World Championships who were way more experienced than him. So there was plenty. That was plenty of ingredients that Anthony Joshua was born with to be able to do that. Obviously, he was promoted well, marketed well, also coached well as an amateur. Robert McCracken, very well schooled technically. So, yeah, people are born, but you've still got to work hard. You're born with a certain level of ability, talent, natural gifts, all that type of thing. But that's still got to be brought out of you by a good coach. And in terms of, you can be the best fighter in the world, but if nobody knows who you are, you're not going to earn a lot of money. And that's the promoter's job and your managers, to make sure that they look at you and they know your character, they know your personality, and they try and market you and promote you in the best way possible.
Do you want to quickly touch on that December 23rd card? Anthony Joshua against Wallin, and you got Wilder against Parker. Any potential banana skins in them two for you?
I think Wallin and AJ is more a potential banana skin than Parker and Wilder. I think it's not an absolute gimme, but I'd be surprised if Parker beat Wilder. I would be. But if you look at Wilder, the only person who's beaten him is Fury, and he's fought him 3 times, and he's had him over. Even in the fight where he got beaten and got stopped, Fury did have Fury over, he did catch him, so he probably will catch Parker. I don't know if Parker can get through it the way Fury did.
Last one before I do let you, last two before I let you go. Canelo, there's a lot of talk now about this whole Benavidez fight. Benavidez showing why he's one of the best fighters around that division, obviously with what he did against Demetrius Andrade. But there's a lot of talk about the next fight for Canelo being Charlo or Munguia, and then possibly a Benavidez. How important is it that we possibly get to see that Benavidez fight, who seems to be that fighter at that division right now? Yeah,
I'd like to see the Benavidez fight, because I think people legitimately believe that he could beat Canelo, and Canelo's had an unbelievable career, hasn't he? He's kind of taken over after Mayweather. Really, probably is the big superstar in world boxing, pound for pound. but every dog has his day, and he's had a lot of fights, a lot of training camps. So nobody goes forever, and especially you keep moving up in the weights. Eventually, you're not as dominant. Obviously we've seen that with Bivol. It was a step too far. Benavidez, tough fight. Fucking hello.
Final one on Saturday night in San Francisco is a great fight in Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis. Just give me your thoughts on that fight.
I think you got to favour Haney. I think Prograis, good fighter, good boxer. But I think Haney, younger, fresher, and I think even moving up to 140 probably gives him more a new lease of life as well. More because he is young and he is growing. I think he'll grow into being a real solid super lightweight. I think it'll be a good fight, but I think you got to say Haney's the favourite.
Cool, Matt. Always a pleasure taking a bit of your time. I do appreciate your time as always, and we'll see you over the next couple of days. Top man, thank you very much. Cheers, mate. Thank you.